I mean, starting out another week here, and this week is starting out with me back gardening. And it's getting around to the time of year where I really am starting to enjoy gardening. I've been gardening all winter long, all my indoor plants, all these back here behind me, and they've been doing great, especially after I bought some grow lights that really amped it up here. Living in England, those days get really short towards the winter. Over those winter months, short days, even if you have a conservatory, which is, this room has a lot of glass, a lot of windows, not a lot of sunlight, days are short, and a lot of plants need more sunlight than what they can pull just from those windows. Even if you sit it in a window that's facing in the right direction, like we get the most sunlight, you're still going to be low on sunlight for a lot of plants, even low light plants. So when I purchased about a month and a half, about 2 months ago at this point, purchased some of the best grow lights on the market. All of these came off of Amazon, and so these were some really great grow lights. I have one specifically for my canna and my bananas. I have another one, a grow light, which is focused on my begonias, which is over here, and then behind me I have more grow lights focused on my aloe, and then the rest are focused on my philodendrons, and that's been wonderful. I just had a birthday and picked this up as a snazzy birthday gift, which I'm excited about this. I wanted one of these. I've been seeing a lot of gardeners and farmers. Check this out. Check this out. Look at that. Look at that. Nice. You know what I mean? You can work. Little pocket right there. And if you get dirty, it has a little handle here. You can kind of latch some stuff onto that. So I'm really excited about this. Yeah, pick this up. Fits well. It's heavy, real leather, and I'm liking it a lot. But what I want to get into with this live, what I want to do, well, we're at the time of year, as I just mentioned, where you're able to start to think about. You should have already been thinking about what do you want in the spring garden outdoors. What do you want in your summer garden outdoors, right? We've been doing a lot of indoor stuff, but what do you want in your garden outdoors? And so if you want to plant some vegetables, this is the certain time of year where you can start some of those vegetables. Some of your brassicas, you can start right now. That's going to be like your kales, your collards, your cabbage. You can start some of those right now. And so you can find out a lot about that. What I want to get into are some of my annuals. In particular, I want to plant some of these. Now these are marigolds. All right, see people jumping in on the live here. Greetings from the capital of Turkey. Glad to have you on the live. I really love this live because, last week was people in here from Brazil. Just I love the fact that the live is global, right? It's everywhere, all over the world. And so I am from the United States, but I've been living in the UK for right at 5 years. So I've been here I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's been a good week. Just had a birthday last week. Lived to see another year, right? Always excited about that to make it to another year. I'm not as young as I used to be, and I start to, you get past a certain age and you really start taking those, being thankful for those birthdays. London or Manchester? I don't live in either. If I had to pick one, I go to London much more than I go to Manchester. However, I'm going to Manchester in a couple weeks. I want to go do some hiking up around Manchester, up around the Peak District, and I want to go to a couple botanical gardens up around Manchester if I can get to some of them. And I'm going to do I think it's a big Lego show. I may go to a Lego show up there as well. So yeah, I'm going to Manchester here pretty soon, and I don't have any plans to head back to London. So I'm kind of like in the middle if you think about that. But hi from India. How's everyone doing? I'm speaking from the UK, United Kingdom. I'm in England. From Bangladesh. That is beautiful. It's wonderful. So yeah, I'm just sitting here and I have a little grow tray and about to plant some marigold seeds because this is the time of year when you want to start thinking about getting those marigolds into the ground. I picked these seeds because the coloration on these is really different. It's like a lot of red. There's a whole lot of red right there. And then I want to plant some of these as well, which orange. These are French marigolds. They have a almost insecticidal type smell to them. Marigolds are kind of, insects don't like them. So I tend to plant the marigolds with my vegetables. So if I'm growing vegetables, I put the marigolds in with them. Now, I had some from last time. One great thing about marigolds is that they grow really easily and really well from seed. I mean, these just do really great from seed. And I have some last year. This is a bloom from last year, right? This is a plant that I grew last year, another French. It looked something like this. The cool thing about marigolds is once you break this open, this is jam-packed. As I pull off these petals, jam-packed with seeds. Look at this. All of those are individual marigold seeds. So if you grow a marigold and you like what it looks like, collect those dried seed heads at the end of the season, and all of these are individual. Pull that off. These are all marigold seeds. Look at that. That's from one seed head. Look how many came out of there. So if you love growing them, they're annuals, right? As soon as you have a frost, they're gonna get taken out. But you collect those seed heads and look at all of those seeds. So I'm gonna plant some of these seeds from the ones that I had last year. And I'm going to get some of these new ones in the ground. And the way I like to do it is really easy. I'm going to put these down right here and show you what one individual seed looks like. They're kind of long and narrow. They should be black or dark tan on the end. And you kind of can make that out. Hopefully you can make that out on my hand. It is really small. And in each one of these little squares, because it's like there's 40 squares here, I put 2. And the reason I put 2 is just in case one of them doesn't grow, I'll have 2. And then once they do start to grow, you pick the one that looks the strongest, is growing the best, and you snip the other one off. Unfortunately, you have to lose one, but that way you don't end up with any empty pods. Yeah, look at that. That's what the seed looks like. Just a really tan on the top, kind of brown on the bottom, and you just straight down the dark part, you just stick it straight right there, just tap it in. And they're the easiest seeds to plant. I've been growing marigolds. This is the first thing I started growing when I was I think I was 12 years old. And I planted some marigolds, and it's when I first started gardening in my parents' home. And that was one of the first plants that I've ever planted. So I've been growing them now ever since. But yeah, these are some of the seeds from last year that I saved because I saved that seed head. And just to demonstrate that again, here's another. Like this was a flower, and you just kind of just pull this apart, and it's so simple because I let this completely dry. It just bam. Look at all those seeds. That's just 2 seed heads, right? So every marigold plant is going to have 30 or 40 of these or more, especially across the whole growing season, because they just keep putting out flowers all summer long. And then you just pick what looks like the best ones. What are those going to look like? Well, the best ones are going to be that tan on the top. Make sure it's dark brown on the bottom. Hope you can make that out. And if it's just all tan all the way down, that may not be a valuable seed. But if it's tan up top and a dark brown or a black color on the bottom, you just take that and straight up and down. With the tan part still sticking up, you just stick that straight into the soil. 2 per. I do 2. Some people do 3. Some people do 1. I like to do 2 because I like that backup. And if they're both growing really well, you could leave them both in there if you plan to get them out of that pot early enough. Get them out of this growing container. Don't let them get too large in there. And if you could do that, maybe get them separated. Okay. So that's doing good. Can you guys hear me well? I forgot to plug in my mic. I don't know if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Let me get my mic going. Should bring the volume up a little bit. Okay, that should improve the volume now. Sorry about that. I should have caught that a little sooner. But yeah, that should improve the volume. Again, marigolds, annuals, every year you had to plant them from seed. And I tried to bring in some and keep them over through the whole winter. Unfortunately, it had a slight frost hit that plant, and it went on, and it gave up. It gave up before within a month it was gone. And that's why I have these pods of these little seed head pods. I kept those, and those plants did not make it. And it's really fine though. This is the cool thing about growing annuals. You just replant them every year. I'm a huge fan of perennials. I do prefer perennials over annuals, but there's a place for annuals, I think, in every garden, because they just grow so vigorously over that 1 year, and you can get them, you can plant them. Like now, I'm planting these as seeds, or you could buy them from your garden center, small plants, and they would just produce such an amazing amount of blooms for you over the course of that entire year, especially like that growing season. Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this in tray, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the seeds from last year. I'm not going to bother labeling them too much, because to me they're all just marigolds. Now you can get persnickety, and if you want to keep them labeled, definitely do that. But I know what the ones I grew last year look like, and I know what the ones I grew this year, I know what they look like, so I'm not too worried about it too much. All right, but these, I'm excited to get these planted. This is the time of year. On the back of the packet, it tells you when you can plant them indoors, when you can plant them outdoors. So we're in this pink period. So it says February, March, April, you can sow it indoors. We're in the middle of February now, right? So I'm in this period. If I wanted to sow it outdoors, that would be, outdoors is April through May, and it will flower from June through October. So basically from the early summer all the way through the summer and October. It will stop flowering the first moment a lick of frost hit it. That's it, the plant's done. So cannot take the frost. But the reason I want to get them started now, I grew these last year, the ones I just showed you. I didn't start them early enough. So it was way over almost August before they started to flower for me. And I was like, oh, come on, I could do better than that. I need to get them into the ground much sooner. And that's why I'm planting them now, because I want my flowers to start blooming. As soon as I get past the risk of frost for my growing area, I'm going to transplant these, get them outside, get them into the garden, and I will have flowers through the entire growing season. Okay, and you can see these seeds look very similar. Hope you can make those out. They look very similar to the ones that I just put out of that seed head. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing though. These have already kind of been sorted, so almost all of them are good. They're all viable seeds. But I'm still going to put 2 in each cell, just going straight down. Pick it up here by the top, by the brown part, and just straight down into the soil. And I put it to where it's just below, where that brown part is just below the surface of the soil. So I want it to be all the way into the soil, completely in there, 2 in each cell. And once I get these all planted, I'm going to water it, not from the top, but from the bottom, because if you water from the top, you can kind of maybe knock them out if you water. So water can be a bit forceful. So I'm going to put the water in the bottom. This is sitting in a tray that holds water, and it has a top, and I'll show that top when I get to the end. And I'm going to sit in the windowsill. And in a couple of weeks, they're going to germinate, sprout, and I'll have some little marigolds. And then the thing is to make sure that I keep enough light on them to where the plants don't start to grow leaning towards the light. That's one of the key things. So if you start your plant indoors, what messes up a lot of people who start plants indoors, they don't have enough light on the plants. So the plants grow up and then they start to lean towards the light. And they can also grow really, really long stems, because again, the plant is trying to get to the light. It needs that light. That plant needs sunlight. They really need that sunlight. So it's growing as fast and as hard as it can to try to get to light. And it will get leggy, stemmy, long, and it won't be a pretty plant. So what you need to do as soon as those plants sprout is make sure that you have enough light on the plants. My intention is to set this in the windowsill, and if I'm not getting enough light, the days are getting longer. If I'm not getting enough light, I'm going to supplement it. I'm going to put a grow light on top of it, because I want these plants to grow straight up. And if they get enough light, they won't throw up really, really long stems. I don't want them to be long and leggy. I want it to grow up short and immediately start throwing out leaves and branches because they're getting enough light and now they just want to branch out to catch the light. So I want bushy plants, not long stem, leggy plants with the long stems. And the way you handle that is all about controlling the amount of light and where the light is coming from. You get that light directly overhead, the plants will grow up towards that light. If the light is coming from the left or the right, or in any direction that's not straight overhead, those plants are going to grow up and they're going to start to lean. They're going to lean this way, they're going to lean that way. Now, if you can't get the grow light on them and they start to grow up and they start to lean, what you could do is every once a week, take that whole tray and turn it 180. I won't say 360 because if you turn it 360, it'll be back in the exact same orientation it was, but turn it 180. So let's say, we'll put these seeds down real quick. Just like here, the light is here. The plants have started to grow up and they're leaning in this direction. What I would do is pick this whole tray up, turn it 180, put it down. That way the plants will grow this way and now, oh, the light's over here, and then they'll straighten back up trying to get towards the light. You just have to remember periodically, about once a week, to turn that tray. This is a tray in this shape. If it's a round pot, you can just kind of slowly just keep turning it a little bit. Every week you turn it, and that'll kind of keep the plant. But the best thing to do, because eventually you might forget that, you get busy. And one of the great things about plants is that you don't have to spend, I'm gonna turn this back around so I don't put the seeds in the wrong spot. They're not as labor intensive as, say, having a dog or a cat. Dogs and cats are great. I've had both. I had a Himalayan, was Himalayan or Persian? I can't remember, but it was a cat, really long hair, beautiful. Chi-Chi, that was her name. I loved Chi-Chi, and she was a great cat. And cats are easier to take care of than dogs. Dogs are more affectionate, right? If people love dogs and they like them, some cats can be affectionate. But I tell you what, dogs and cats and even ferrets, fish, almost everything requires more attention than plants. I consider my plants something like pets, if you get the example that I'm giving you. So for me, to have plants, you can take care of them, but you don't have to put quite as much energy into them as you would, say, a dog or a cat. All right, so that's one tray, one line done. Here's another, and so that's 5, 10. Let me do the next one. It'll give me 15. So that's there'll be five of that one. Oh, where'd I put it? Here it is. Let me pick up some more of these seeds and do the next. And the cool thing is when you buy marigolds, what they give you is quite a bit of seeds. You get a lot of seeds. I find gardening to be very relaxing. Chiefs or eagles, that's easy. That's easy. Eagles. And you say, why? Why am I picking the Eagles? I'm not an Eagles fan per se, because just not. But I will tell you, I'm picking the Eagles because the Chiefs have had a good run. They won in 2000. They won in 2000. And I'm sorry, they won in 2020. They won in 2023, 2024. They're good, right? But I don't have any problem with them being good. I just want to see another team win. You know, let's share it around. Now, that's not saying the best team wins, right? But I want to see another city have a party. Let Philadelphia have a good time. But you're going to bet against Mahomes? I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to bet against Mahomes. It's a very experienced team. But I'm going to go with the Eagles. My team that I really wanted to make it would have been the Commanders with Jane Daniels, who the Eagles beat. That's who I was pulling for. I was really pulling for the Commanders. I used to live in D.C., and so I became a Commanders fan back when the team had a different name. So, but Philadelphia is right up the street. Why not? Who do you have, Gary? Who are you going for? I'm going with the Eagles. Who do you have? The Bob Ross of gardening. I'll take that as a wonderful compliment. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, we're just planting these seeds here, 2 in each cell. And I find gardening to be very relaxing. That's what I do. It's a way for me to calm down and not think about all of the craziness that's going on in the world. And if you really think about it, the world has never not been crazy. You can be in different phases of life to where you're not paying attention to the crazy. Like, think about it. When you're a kid, you don't know who the president is. You don't know who the prime minister is. You're just a kid. You're doing what kids do. Then as you get older, you go through phases where you care more. And then you may, when I had a lot of kids. I have 6 children. And so me and my wife, we had kids like every other year. And so there was a period there when we were just inundated with babies. We had like 3 kids in diapers. And so I don't know what was going on aside from changing diapers and feeding babies. So depending on which phase of life you're in, you can be more involved in things and less involved. I still have the kids. They didn't go anywhere. But gardening is a way for me to kind of get away, relax, separate from everything that's going on in the world for a little while, and grow some plants. The cool thing about gardening is if you do it right, and sometimes even if you do it wrong, you get to see a nice result. Like, I'm planting these seeds right now, and this is taking a little bit of time, right? It's taking a little bit of effort to do this. It's not just magically. You could just scatter them around, right? I don't scatter them. I try to be more deliberate than that. But within a couple weeks, these will be growing up out of these cells, and then I'll have these little plants, and then I have to take care of them. And so I'm like, wow, that's really cool, right? You put in some effort, and then you get to see a tangible result pretty quickly. Unlike when you go to school, because, let's go back to your school years. You're in school for a long time. It takes many years before you see the end result of going to school. It takes many years to see any end result of going to college. And so you're putting in a lot of work over a very long period before you get that result. I have a PhD, and that program took 5 years. 5 years of my life was dedicated to that, and it was the main focus. And so for 5 years, that's what I was working on. Of course, when I was undergrad, same thing. 4 years, you're given 4 years of your life. 4 years you're working year after year after year. And that's how long you have to keep going before you see the result. And if you're going to like normal school, earlier you start at like 5 or 6, and you're there to like 18. So yeah, it can take a lot of time to see the results. Not so with gardening. You put it in the ground, and in a couple weeks, it sprouted, bam. If you're growing vegetables, the wonderful thing about growing vegetables, you can plant something, like I'm going to plant some tomatoes here in about a month or so. And a couple months after that, I will have tomatoes on the vine. And you get this wonderful sense of satisfaction. Oh, thanks for subbing. I appreciate that. I appreciate when people subscribe. I started this channel because I just enjoy. Actually my mother-in-law, she suggested, she's like, you always doing gardening. You're always going to gardens, because I love going to gardens. And actually, I love going to garden shows. I put those videos on the channel. And she said, you're always doing this. You should start a YouTube channel. I have a family channel. And I was like, okay, you know what? That makes sense. I will do that. I will do a garden channel and get out there. And I'm doing it anyways. So why not? Like, even if I wasn't filming this, like I wasn't talking with you guys, so we weren't having this exchange, I still would be sitting here. Maybe the light wouldn't be on. I'd still be sitting here, and I'd be planting these seeds. Okay, so I have those planted. That was not all that was in the packet. What I tend to do is main thing, make sure you keep that dry. I ripped off that top, just gonna fold it back over and give it another fold. Just keep this dry. I have a little shelf unit over here, wooden shelf unit, and I keep my seeds in it. So you can actually sow seeds multiple times a year. So I planted these right now, and I can wait a month, and I can do it again with the rest of these. Take that, put it in there. I could have did it with scissors, it would have been nicer, but same thing, just fold it over and put it in a drawer. And these seeds, they'll hold up. Like, you could be a couple years from now, like 2-3 years from now, these seeds will still be viable. Especially, like, again, keep them dry, low humidity. You don't put them in a room where they have a lot of humidity. They'll sprout, they'll go bad, they won't. But if you keep these dry in a dry place, my dad used to keep his in the freezer. I don't know if you necessarily need to do that, because your freezer go on and off, you get those icicles in there, it can mess it up. So I wouldn't necessarily put it in the freezer, but keep it in a cool, dry place. Look at that. And I still have seeds. Set that to the side. And these are some other French marigolds here. This first pack I picked because they were very red. I've never really seen marigolds with that particular upside down. They were very red and this is more of that classic French marigold, but they're also really orange. I like that bicolor in there. You can see it's kind of an orange and yellow, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I think that looks good. All right, just looking back. Hello, everyone. Hi. In the Netherlands, we got a saying, those who seed will harvest. Yeah. So what I'm looking forward to doing with my kids is once we get past this season, well, about a month or so, and I haven't seen it yet, but I love to plant strawberries with my kids because that is something and I get those strawberries. You can either get them I would not suggest you buy strawberries from seed. You can, and they will grow. You won't get strawberries that year. Typically, it just takes time for the plant to grow and the root system to get big enough for that plant to then decide to put out flowers, and then that plant will create strawberries. What I prefer to do is buy them either, your garden center sells strawberries, it'll be a little pack. It'll be half of this, right? So this is, it could be a little pack about this side and it'd be strawberry plants already growing, right? You could buy those and you could put those in your garden and they will potentially produce strawberries that year. Or you could buy roots, which is just a little strawberry roots. It's really funny. It looks like a little spider because on the bottom is all roots and it has a little knob on the top. Put the root part in the ground, leave the knob above ground, and you will have strawberries. But you buy those, you can have strawberries that year. The next year, you will have more strawberries. And strawberries are really cool because there are two things that are great about strawberries. And I'll do a video on them a little later. One, they're perennials. So that means they come back year after year after year. That strawberry plant will continue to come back for you. So that's one thing that's really great about strawberries. You plant it, take care of that plant, it will grow. Two, they send out runners, which are long, thin, look like almost vines, right? And along that, it'll have individual little strawberry plants, and they're trying to expand and grow. And where those little plants touch the ground, they will put out roots and make another little strawberry plant. So you can cut that runner and have a separate plant. And it will multiply. You have to be careful though, because if you put them in the ground, they can just go everywhere. I tend to grow mine in pots. Those runners, I'll let them run, set that in a separate pot, put that runner part where there's a little plant, stick that in the pot, put a little soil around it, it boop, produces another plant, cut the runner off, and then you have another strawberry plant. And that's the one way, another cool way to do with strawberries. So I love to grow strawberries with my kids because strawberries are tasty. They're tasty, kids like to eat them, and they just work really well, and they're not hard. You just water them. The biggest thing with strawberries are once they start to get ripe, as long as they're green, birds will leave them alone. But as soon as they start going red, the birds notice them, so you have to get to them before the birds. Have I eaten Indian food? Yes, I've eaten a lot of Indian food. What I like most, cook, eat. That's hard. I want to say I live overseas, right? So I'm American, but I live in the UK. I like a lot of the foods here. I like a lot of foods in the US, but I also spend a lot of time in the Middle East. So one of my favorite restaurants when I lived in DC, they served a blend of Afghan food and more just Middle East. There's a lot of Afghan and I guess food from that region. I do like Turkish. I like a lot of Turkish. That's really good. Kebabs, shawarma. I like a lot of that. I just eat a whole lot of different things. Lasagna, all over the place. Cook a lot of steaks. Although I don't eat as much red meat as I used to, I kind of be careful, try to be careful not to eat too much meat in general. I find that, not for any other reason, just it's heavy on my stomach, so I try not to eat too much of that. Trying to increase the veg. Veg is good. Grow the veg, eat the veg. All marigold seeds look pretty much the same. Some of them are larger and some of them are really, really tiny. Yeah, strawberries will come back. They will definitely give you twice as much fruit. I do not have Ohio Riz. I've only ever been to Ohio. Okay, let me tell you my story from Ohio. I was in Dayton, and I was waiting on my plane, and I said, okay, let me just drive around, and I'll go park under a shade tree, and just kind of wait till my flight. You know, I couldn't find a shade tree. Just a tree growing somewhere in a parking lot. I could just park. And I was driving around, and like, why are there no trees here? I'm from Arkansas, and there's a lot of trees in Arkansas, and I was just looking for a place to park. And I finally found a covered something that I could park under, because I just wanted to sit in the car, because, you know, you check out early. Let's say you check out of your hotel like 10 or 11. You don't have anything to do. Your flight's not until 3. And you're like, oh, I'll just go get something to eat, hang out in the car, park in the shade. Couldn't find shade in Dayton. And that was my Ohio experience. I haven't spent a lot of time in the state. I came to the UK for work. I got a job over here. My wife also got a job over here, and we moved our whole family over here. We had, it was us, and at the time we had 4 kids. We came over in 2020 in the middle of a lockdown, and moved to Peterborough at first. That's where we were when we first got here. And we had to stay in quarantine for like 21 days. Couldn't leave the home at all. Just could not go outside. So we had to get all of these deliveries, and this lockdown and all that finally ended. And we, you know, moved around a little bit and been working and been here since 2020. I like it. I like it here because I like flowers. And oh my God, there are so many flower shows here in the UK. The biggest, if you're into that thing, the largest is the flower show in Chelsea. That's the one that the Queen used to go to. And I don't know if King Charles has gone to Chelsea. I'm pretty sure he has gone to Chelsea at some point. But the royalty, they go to Chelsea. I'm like, it's in London, and it's just big and it's fancy. I've never gone to Chelsea. I've gone to some of the other really large flower shows in the RHS, Royal Horticultural Society. And then what I say is the best botanical garden in the world is here in the UK, and that is Kew Garden. And if anyone can name a garden that is bigger, better, and has more scientific research and has as many plants, I think they have 130 some thousand different plant species at Kew. I mean, it is a phenomenal garden. I've toured it a couple times. So the UK just is, if you're into plants, the UK is a really cool place to be. And so I enjoy living here because there's flower shows all through the summer. They start in the spring, run all through the year, and all the way up to the fall. And then you get to that end of the year, and they stop and you start. And then you have a couple months break, and then they start all over again. Spring show, summer show, autumn shows. So I go to all of those. Get to see a lot of really cool plants at those. All right, about to finish up here. Only a couple more, and this will be done. Again, this is how I do it. There are different ways. You could, some people would have just taken those seeds and with their hand, they just scatter them across, and then they would just kind of poke them in. You just see where they lay, and then you just poke them into the soil. That works. I take my time and just kind of place them individually. That also works. It takes a little longer. If you just scatter them across and then just kind of spread them out and poke them into the soil, that will go a lot faster. It's all up to you. Depends on how much time you have. How do you want to do it? Indian food that I've had is curry. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I don't want to say it wrong. It's dal? I think it's dal. I think that could be wrong. But there was an Indian curry that I had, and it may have been dal. I can't remember. Dai? Something like that. But anyways, I like curries. I'm not vegetarian, but Indian, like one of me. Yes, that's it. I think it's dal, yeah. That was really good. When I've had that, yeah, I moved from America to the UK in 2020. I've been here since 2020, working, and it's been cool. Had 2 kids here, right? So my wife and I, we had twins here in the UK, which was crazy because all my kids were born in Virginia, and then we had 2 born in London. All right, so this is a 3-tray system. Here are the individual cells. You fill that with your growing your soil, right? You put your soil in there, which I did, and then I put my seeds in it. Then I'm going to take that tray and sit it inside of this larger tray. This tray, waterproof. This is where you add your water. I tend to add my water from the bottom. So I'm going to, get my watering can and pull this up just a little bit. I water straight down into the bottom and let the water come up and soak up into the soil. I don't water from the top because I find that when you water from the top with the soil, it just kind of moves everything around. It shuffles stuff around. Lyrical Karen, I don't know which song you have. A lot of them, it's so funny because there are so many Americans. You are dad. I'm a dad. Yeah, I'm a 6-time dad. I have 6 kids. Like there's the twins are babies, right? And then they all the way up to like 13. We had a kid every year. It's like 13, so 2011, 13, 15, 17, we just had kids, just kept having them. And then we stopped. And then we had 2 more, and then we stopped. We're done. 6. Hey, I can't tell anyone how to do family planning. Whatever you and whoever you decide to have kids, you ever go down that route, kids are a blessing. We have 6. And I will say that 6 is a lot of work. And if you're going to have a lot of them, you have to be prepared to put in a lot of work. All right. I'm not going to do this right now. I'll come back and get to it a little later. But all I'm going to do, because I actually set this aside, I'm going to do it tonight, though. To it, I have this top, and I have to wash this off, because what I actually did, it was sitting like this. This is how I store it. And I store it like that. Right, I have all the pieces. You actually, when you buy it, typically in a store, it also comes in the same configuration. So you have this seed tray, which sits in the other tray, which holds the water, and your bottom tray goes on the top. Now, this is going to be washed, so it'll be clean. It's not washed now, but I will wash it, clean it out, because you need it to be able to be transparent to let light go through. After I water it, sit this on top. Have a nice little controlled environment. This will help increase the humidity, which will help germinate. That's why you put this top on there. And to keep that moisture evaporates, it'll go up and hit this top and kind of run back down into some small amount of it will escape, because this is not hermetically sealed, right? Some of it will escape, and that's fine. There's no problem. You don't want to like seal it to where it can't have any exchange of air and water. But this top will increase the humidity, which will help the seeds germinate. Once your seeds germinate, start to grow, pop this off, put it back under the bottom, and there you go. If you add too much water, it can kill the plant. That is what people tend to do. They tend to add too much water. So when I'm adding water to this the first time, it is completely dry. So I'll fill this almost all the way up. This second tray, I'll fill it more than halfway up. More than halfway, not all the way to the top, right? But more than halfway. And if you fill it all the way to the top, when you put this back in there, if you take it out, it's going to put up water everywhere. Halfway, and then I will watch it, and you'll see that water soak up into it. What you want to do is, if you kind of look here, you want to look under there, you can see it should always be moist in there. And you want easy, take a finger, dry finger, and touch the soil. And if it feels slightly damp, then you're good. If you touch the soil and then the next day you touch the soil again, in both cases it feels wet, you pull your finger up, it's just dripping wet, then I would tell you to take the tray out. Take the tray out. And it was really easy. Take the tray out, sit the tray down, and if it's wet, this is going to have water in it. Pour all of that water that's in there out. You don't need it. And then take your tray, which is still wet, and then sit it back in there. And after a day or two, once this soil now feels just slightly damp to the touch, just damp, then you can go back and add about an inch or how many was centimeters in that? I think in inches. America, I don't know why we do it. The rest of the world is on a metric system. And I will be honest with you, I wish the US would switch to metric. It would just make life easier, because I'm always having to try to do conversions in my head from inches, feet to meters, centimeters, kilometers. miles. We're on miles, and it's so crazy because UK does meters, but they also have you're driving. It's in miles. So the UK kind of is in the middle. It's like half imperial, half metric, and so you have to know that. No, Patty, I'm not. I don't even think you can grow that on a tree. If you can grow that on a tree, I would love for you to demonstrate how to grow that on a tree. I put all my plants outside. The plants that can go outside, like this pothos, which I still have not repotted. For weeks, I haven't said I'm going to repot this plant, and I have not done it yet. This is a chartreuse, limey colors, always indoors. I'll never put this outside. But I have a jalapeno pepper, which I brought in. This is a jalapeno pepper plant. Normally, you plant this in the spring as a seed, or you go to your garden center and you buy a little plant. I did that. I grew it, and right after the first frost, I said, oh, I want to save it. I brought it indoors. All the seeds, all the leaves that were on it died, unfortunately. But look, you can see it's putting out new leaves. Once we get past the risk of frost, I will take this jalapeno pepper plant and put it back outdoors. I will leave it in this pot. And as the jalapeno plant gets older, the stems start to get woody, right? It goes from being a normal plant, and the stem gets a little woody. It can get pretty tall, and it starts to take on a woody appearance. And you can keep these alive for years. And I've seen some that are about pepper plants that are about 6 feet tall, where people have kept them alive for multiple years. I'm not gonna say it produces more peppers every year, but I think it's cool. I brought it indoors. That one stays, that's gonna go outside. I have some agapanthias that are gonna go outside. I have several plants in here that I brought in. A canna, I have a banana tree over here. That's definitely gonna go outside. So it all depends on what are the growing conditions for the plant. I have some philodendrons, which are really pretty, which is, well, I'll show you my favorite philodendron. Give me a second. I showed this plant off last week. It's my favorite because look at this week. Look at that color. It's all chocolatey and what is that, velvet burgundy? That is beautiful. It's not even green. Like there's some green in there, right? But some green right there. This plant, although it originated from outdoors, it comes from a very tropical area in the world, and I will never put it outside because I don't want to risk it. But it's doing really going to repot it because it's just growing so big. This is the back side of it. You see all the leaves are facing another way? This is the back side here. And this is the most recent leaf. This will stay indoors. So I have indoor plants, I have outdoor plants. I do a mixture of all of it. And you may be able to see that plant, because I want to make sure it gets enough light. I have those grow lights sitting right above it, and I get another plant. The plant right in front of it, this is a monstera. This comes from a tropical jungle, tropical environment, but I'm going to keep it indoors. And this is Monstera Thai Constellation. One of my favorite. I have another Monstera, but I love the variegation on the leaves. Like, look at that. You get those white speckles in there. That's just really pretty. And I repotted this. And it's doing really good. So since I think I repotted it almost a month ago. Look at that leaf. It's put out these. This is a new leaf here, and I think this one's new as well. But look at that pretty white piece right there. But this is definitely a new leaf. This is new, just popped up. So this Monstera Thai Constellation, it will stay indoors. No, the jalapeno plant is going to stay in that pot If it gets much, I don't think I'll ever have to take it out of that pot. If it gets much larger, then I will repot it. But that is a pretty large ceramic pot that it's in. It's a clay, yeah, terracotta. It's not ceramic, it's terracotta. That's a pretty large terracotta pot that it's in. So I shouldn't have to switch it up. But if it does, I have a larger pots outside, then I'll just put it into a larger pot. This is the first year that I've kept this plant. So this plant is going on, well, in a couple more months, this plant will be 1 year old. So it'll be a 1 year old jalapeno plant. If it gets much larger, then yeah, I can repot it. I don't think I'll have to. Yeah, Thai constellation. Let me go put that back before it gets knocked over. Do I have any advice on, I am actually a religious person. Do I have any advice on being sober? I won't be flippant and just say don't drink. I drink socially. That's what it's called. So if I'm at a party or something, then I'll drink. I don't drink a lot. So I think I personally would have a hard time giving advice about how to be sober because I've never really had a personal problem with alcohol. But vices are things that people like, that you're attracted to. It's really hard to do that through self-control. So that's just really hard. I don't tend to do it. But I hope that you have success and can seek the right kind of help from the right professionals. Hopefully there are hotlines or people that you can call, medical professionals that you can talk to, and they can maybe give you the right advice to help you in that area. I don't think that I'm qualified to offer advice on that. I can offer advice on marigold seeds and jalapeno plants and pothos. I still like this plant. Look at that color. So I'm all about the color, right? Look at that foliage. This doesn't even, I mean, it has a flower, but it's not about the flower. It's just about the foliage. So I would not feel comfortable offering advice on that. Okay, I think I'm going to call it here. I wanted to do, you know what? I'm not even going to pretend. I'm not even going to say it because I'm going to, oh, we could repot this pothos. We could do this right now. No. Not today, not gonna happen. This live is coming up on 47 minutes, which is a little longer than I normally go with lives. Check that out. But yeah, I think I'll call it here. It's been a good live. I appreciate the conversation from everyone who jumped in and had a conversation with me, and I like the discussions. It goes, and that's the wonderful joy of lives. It kind of go all over the place. But yeah, these are the marigolds. This is what it's going to look like when they bloom. These dark red ones, these orange, that's going to look really good when they bloom. I will show these to you in a couple weeks. Again, I go live here in the UK, British Standard Time, roughly between 7:30. The latest will be 8 p.m. Normally around 7:30 p.m. I'm going live. I do this every single week. And so far I've been able to hold on for wow, I think it's done this almost every week for almost 2 months now. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. I learn a lot from having this experience and this exchange with all of you. So if you want to jump on the live with me next week, hey, I will be here British Standard Time around 7:30. And if I'm not here, drop me a message. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, do that as well. That really helps me out. It's not a monetized channel. I don't make any money from doing this. I hope to get monetized someday, but this is not a monetized channel. This is just at this point a labor of love, something I do because I enjoy doing it. And if you can ever get monetized, cool, that'd be great. I'm not gonna be like, no, I don't want the money. If I could ever get to that point, that'd be great. But in the meantime, I'm just doing this because I would be doing it anyways. I think I already said that. I would be working with these plants, even if no light was on, if there was no camera here, I'd still be doing this. All right, guys, I hope you've had a wonderful day, wonderful afternoon. Have a great week. It's gonna be a long week. Hopefully not too long, but enjoy your time, and I'll check back with you later.